Why your brain creates problems when everything is fine. When life is calm, your brain doesn't rest. It looks for a threat to justify its own existence, because for thousands of years, staying alert was synonymous with staying alive. Have you ever had that strange feeling? Everything is fine. Your work is on track. The bills are paid. Nobody argued with you today. And yet, part of your mind starts looking for something that's wrong. Did that email I sent sound weird? Is this calm the calm before the storm? There's something I should be worried about right now. If this has ever happened to you, I need to tell you something. You're not broken. And you're definitely not the only one. There's a mechanism, hiding right under your nose, that literally makes your brain create problems when there aren't any. And understanding this mechanism completely changes the way you see your own anxiety from this point forward. The contradiction. Here's what doesn't make sense. Why does worry show up so strongly precisely when things are peaceful? You'd think that the brain, being such an intelligent and efficient machine, would relax when there's no real threat. After all, why waste energy worrying about something that doesn't even exist? But that's not what happens. A lot of people experience the opposite. The moment everything finally calms down is exactly when the mind decides to create a new reason for alarm. An old thought comes back. A doubt about the future. An what if that suddenly appears out of nowhere, on a quiet Sunday afternoon, with no obvious trigger. It's strange. And that's exactly the kind of strange thing worth investigating. Most of our problems exist only in our minds. Nothing happened, but your brain keeps creating one disastrous scenario after another, leaving you anxious and on edge. The most popular explanation is simple. You're just an anxious person. You don't know how to enjoy the good moments. You might even think it's a lack of gratitude. Or maybe you believe it's simply a personality flaw that needs to be fixed through willpower. For a long time, that was also the most widely accepted explanation. Worrying was seen as a bad habit, almost a choice. And people who could stop thinking stupid thoughts were considered more emotionally evolved than those who couldn't. The problem is that this explanation treats the symptom as if it were the cause. It assumes that your mind is broken. But what if, in reality, it's doing exactly what it was designed to do? What if the problem isn't the worry itself, but the context in which it's being used? Here's the point most people have never heard explained this way. Your brain wasn't designed to make you happy. It was designed to keep you alive. For practically all of human history, staying alert was a matter of life and death. A strange noise in the middle of the night could have been a predator. A sudden silence could have meant danger. The people who survived and passed their genes on weren't necessarily the most relaxed ones. They were the ones who stayed more alert. The ones who noticed threats a second before everyone else. That means that, over thousands of generations, we were shaped by a system that rewards vigilance, not peace and quiet. And that system doesn't know the difference between a lion hiding in the bushes and a project at work that might go wrong. To the brain, both activate the same alarm. Now here's the most interesting part. When there's no real threat, that alarm system doesn't automatically shut down. It was built to stay on by default. And if it can't find a real danger, it starts looking for one. Sometimes it takes an old worry and brings it back to life. Sometimes it projects a problem into the future that doesn't even exist yet. Sometimes it simply grabs whatever uncomfortable thought is available and turns it into a potential threat. It's not that you're weak. It's that your brain is literally trying to protect you from something it hasn't identified yet. And when in doubt, it would rather create a false problem than risk missing a real one. There's even a name for this pattern. Scientists call it the negativity bias. Basically, the brain gives much more weight to negative information than to positive information, because in the past, ignoring a danger signal could cost you your life, while ignoring a safety signal only meant losing a little comfort. Erring on the side of caution was always cheaper than erring on the side of confidence. The problem is that this calculation, which made perfect sense when the danger was a wild animal or a lack of food, is still running the exact same way today. Even when the danger is nothing more than an unusual silence in the workgroup, or a day that feels a little too good to be true. The brain never got the upgrade. It's still using the same 10,000-year-old software to interpret a completely different kind of life. A quick pause. Before we continue, If you're enjoying learning about these hidden patterns behind our own behavior, that's exactly what this channel is about. Every week, we investigate a human behavior that seems to make no sense, and reveal the logic that was right under your nose the entire time. If that resonates with you, it's worth subscribing now, because there's a lot more coming. Now, back to the video. Think about how many times this has happened to you. You finally take a break after weeks of being busy. On the very first day of rest, instead of enjoying it, your mind starts listing everything that still needs to be done. Your body is resting, but your mind keeps working. Or think about a relationship that's going well. No fights. No crises. And yet, the thought appears. This is too good to last. As if stability itself were already a reason to be suspicious. Or that feeling you get after finally solving a major problem. You should feel relieved. But instead, within a few minutes, a new worry takes the place of the old one. As if your mind simply couldn't stand having nothing to focus on. You can even see this happening on social media. A day without any bad news can feel suspicious. And it's almost automatic to open your feed looking for the next reason to sound the alarm, without even realizing you're doing it. In all of these cases, the pattern is the same. Calm isn't interpreted as safety. It's interpreted as an empty space that needs to be filled. Think about that friend, or maybe even yourself, who receives good news. A raise. An approval. An important invitation. And instead of fully celebrating it, they immediately start imagining everything that could go wrong afterward. What if I can't live up to the expectations? What if this is too good to last? The achievement disappears from the scene, and in its place comes a catastrophe script that hasn't even happened yet. Notice that in none of these examples was there an actual problem when the thought appeared. The work was done. The relationship was fine. The news was good. The only common ingredient was the absence of a threat. And that's exactly what the alarm system doesn't know how to process in silence. Imagine a guard who has worked in a watchtower for so long that he's forgotten how to do anything else. He was trained his entire life to stare at the horizon, looking for danger. He's good at it. It's the only job he knows. Now imagine that one day, the war ends. There's no enemy anymore. But nobody told the guard to come down from the tower. So he stays up there. And with no real threat to watch for, he starts seeing danger in every shadow, every strange movement in the distance, even if it's just the wind moving through a tree. It's not that the guard is incompetent. It's that nobody turned off the alarm. He's still doing the job he's always done. Only now, without a real enemy, he starts creating one. That's exactly what happens inside your head when everything is fine and worry suddenly appears out of nowhere. There's no real problem out there. But the guard is still in the tower, doing the only job he's ever known. Looking for threats, even when there aren't any. If you've made it this far thinking the solution is to stop worrying, maybe it's time to change the question. The wrong question is, how do I make sure I never feel this way again? The right question is, why is my guard still on duty when there's no enemy? That shift may seem small, but it changes everything. Because once you understand that worry without a reason isn't a flaw in you, but an old system trying to perform its original function, you stop fighting against yourself. You stop blaming yourself for feeling something that is, in reality, deeply human. And, interestingly enough, that's what usually calms the guard. Not ignoring him, but acknowledging that he's there, thanking him for keeping watch, and calmly showing him that, for now, there's no real danger for him to watch out for. Maybe you've spent your entire life thinking you needed to fix something inside yourself. That your worrying was proof that something was wrong. But maybe the truth is simpler, and at the same time, much deeper. You're not broken. You're simply carrying an old protection system that was created for a world that no longer exists in the same way. You don't need to kick the guard out of the tower. You just need to gently remind him that the war is over. The next time worry shows up for no obvious reason, try asking yourself a different question before you panic. Is this a real danger right now, or is it just my guard following his old habit of staying on watch? A lot of the time, simply naming what's happening can take away a good part of the weight. You're not turning off the alarm. You're finally understanding why it exists. And that completely changes the way you live with it. This isn't about never feeling worried again. That would be like asking you to shut down a system that might actually save your life someday. It's about stopping yourself from treating every alarm as an absolute truth about the world, and starting to see it for what it really is. An ancient, well-intentioned mechanism that isn't always up to date with what's actually happening right now. And maybe the answer you've been looking for all this time was never about becoming a completely different person. Stronger, tougher, more in control. Maybe it was simply about understanding the person you already are a little better, guard included, right under your nose. If this video made you see something about yourself in a different way, hit the like button because it really helps the channel keep going. Leave a comment below if you've ever felt that worry show up precisely when everything was calm. I'd really love to hear your story. And subscribe to the channel, because every week we come here to break down another human behavior that seems impossible to explain, but always has a reason behind it. See you in the next video.